The last time I spoke to my father was on an ordinary weekday afternoon. I remember exactly where I was standing. I had stepped outside to take the call because I didn't want noise in the background. He asked how work was going. I told him I was busy but fine. He sounded normal, not sick, not tired, just like he always did. The call lasted less than 5 minutes. I remember thinking I would call him properly later, when I had more time, when I wasn't distracted, when I could sit down and really talk. There was nothing urgent in his voice, and nothing urgent in my mind. I ended the call without any sense that I was closing something for the last time. A week later, I got a call that changed everything. He had collapsed suddenly. By the time I reached the hospital, there was nothing left to discuss, no decisions to make, no words to exchange. He was already gone. What stayed with me wasn't shock, it was confusion. I kept thinking, this doesn't match how our last conversation sounded. Nothing in that call prepared me for the fact that it was the end. In the days after, I replayed that moment constantly, not because of regret yet, but because of disbelief. I tried to find signs I must have missed, a hesitation, a strange tone, anything that could explain why I didn't feel the weight of that moment while I was living it. There was nothing. At the time, my life felt full. Work was demanding, my schedule was tight. I believed I was being responsible by focusing on what was in front of me. I didn't think I was neglecting anything important. I thought I was managing time properly, or at least that's what I told myself. That belief mattered, because it shaped my choices. I didn't avoid my father out of resentment or distance. I avoided longer conversations because I assumed time was flexible. I assumed calls could be postponed without consequence. I assumed availability meant permanence. I wasn't reckless, I wasn't careless, I was calm. And that calmness is what scares me now. After he was gone, the absence felt unreal. There was no dramatic final argument, no unfinished apology, just unfinished time. Time I had mentally scheduled for later, without realizing later wasn't guaranteed. The hardest part wasn't grief at first. It was the realization that I had treated something irreplaceable as repeatable. I had assumed there would always be another call, another chance to slow down, another moment when I'd be more present. There wasn't. When the shock faded, something heavier settled in. Not guilt, but recognition. I began to see how often I had made similar choices without noticing. How many times I had delayed connection because it felt safe to do so. How many moments I had classified as ordinary, when they were actually limited. At the time, none of those moments felt like endings. That's what made them endings. After that loss, my relationship with time changed in a way I didn't expect. I didn't become frantic or emotional. I became suspicious. I stopped trusting the feeling that things could always be postponed without cost. Because that feeling had already betrayed me once. What I learned isn't that I should have called more often. That's too simple, and it misses the point. What I learned is that normalcy is not a signal of safety. Just because something feels stable doesn't mean it's secure. Just because a relationship exists today doesn't mean it will still be reachable tomorrow. I had confused availability with permanence. For most of my life, I believed that important moments would announce themselves, that they would arrive with urgency, emotion, or some internal alarm. I believed I'd feel it when something truly mattered. But the moments that mattered most felt ordinary while they were happening. They felt like interruptions, like things I could return to once I finished whatever felt more pressing at the time. That's how life takes things from you quietly. When I think about regret now, it doesn't look the way people imagine it. It isn't loud or dramatic, it's subtle. It's the knowledge that you made reasonable decisions using the wrong assumptions. I assumed time was patient. I assumed people were durable. I assumed life would slow down before it closed a door I couldn't reopen. None of that was true. What changed me wasn't loss alone. It was the realization that nothing warned me. Not my instincts, not my emotions, not my sense of responsibility. All the systems I trusted to alert me failed at the exact moment I needed them. And I didn't even notice until afterward. And that's when I understood something that took me decades to accept. Waiting feels harmless while it's happening. If you're listening to this and thinking about someone you haven't spoken to in a while, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you how it happened to me. I didn't choose distance. I chose delay, and delay made the decision permanent for me.